Alright, welcome back. Once again, my name is Clayton. In this video, we're going to be covering conversions between Fischer projections and perspective and vice versa. So, I just grabbed two. It's going to be a real short video. I grabbed two of each and we'll just walk right through them. I'll show you how I solve these problems and we'll go from there. Okay, so for number one here, we have a chiral carbon right here. And then we have our end and another carbon on the end. So what I'm actually going to do first is just rewrite this so that I can really just see what I want at the top and the bottom. So I'm going to turn this into, oh, okay, that's a methyl group. This thing, that is, you know, an alcohol, a methyl alcohol, I guess, on the end here. So that's how I want to be picturing this in my mind. Now, I wouldn't actually do this personally. This is how I'm thinking about it, though, as I'm trying to solve this problem. When I look at a Fischer projection, I want the most oxidized carbon at the top, and then, you know, just the other end of the chain down to the bottom. So that means that I want this alcohol group at the top, and then this is the other side of that. That propane, otherwise would be a propane, that'll just be at the bottom, okay? So if I want this here at the top, I'm going to redraw this again. So now I'm going to draw it, why does it keep doing that? Like this instead. And here's my CH2OH, there's my CH3, and here is my alcohol. And you can see all I did was rotate it counterclockwise so that the alcohol group there is at the top instead of at the side. Now I'm going to turn it into a Fischer. So again, when I'm solving these problems, this is the mental process that I'm going through. I'm trying to picture this in my head. If you need to write it out, do it until you don't have to anymore. That's why practice is so important for solving these problems. Anyway, a Fischer projection, I know I'm going to have three pieces. A top, my chiral carbon in the center, and the bottom. Well, this is easy, CH2OH right there, and my methyl on the bottom. Now I have to ask myself what's going to be here and what's going to be here. So this OH group right here is coming toward me. And so if this is coming toward me, when I kind of flip this over in this direction, it's going to end up being on the right. So there's my H, or OH, and there's my H then, would be on the left. This is to the back. And you can see all I did was kind of bring it from the side to facing me. I brought it from the side just to facing me like that. All right, so there is a successful Fischer projection for that one. Let's move on to the next. Okay, so here's problem number two. And this one actually is a little bit more complicated than the last one. And let me show you why here. So if I look at at any normal Fischer projection, and we have, in this case, we have two carbons that are interesting to us, that and that right there. So that's going to be those two carbons right there, ultimately, when we're done making this thing. If I were to flip this on its side, remember, this looks like this. Then there's the second one, your little bow ties there. This is what this looks like. So if I flip it on its side, what that means is this backbone right here is actually shaped like this. And we can see here this shape is different than this shape, which is like this. So what I need to do is take this and flip it. I'm going to twist these bonds right here so that this bromine is now pointing upward, like this one's upward right here. See that? If I want to flip that over, then I'm going to be, I will have this. So this carbon is that carbon right there. From here, I have an HO down, and then I want to come up, over, and down from there. So let's label these a little bit. This one I'll make orange. So there's my orange one. This one I'll make blue. There's my blue one. And then we can see this guy coming down here is the same one right there. All right. So this blue carbon right there, that one didn't change at all. So I still have an OH in the front. This one, on the other hand, when I flip this to the other side, that bromine gets kicked to the back. So this one actually looks like that. So now what I'm going to do first is rotate it so that this is at the top. And actually I'm going to fix that up a little bit too. So I'm going to say this is my backbone. Here I have a bromine. Here I have my OH. There's my CH3 just to clean it up a little bit. And then I have an HO H2C. So that's this guy right here. Now I want to flip this so that my most oxidized carbon is going to be at the top. So let's redraw this again. We're going to have that. There's my H3C. There's my HO H2C. And all I'm doing is flipping it. So this bromine is still to the back. This hydroxide is still to the front. And now I can finally, and again, when you're doing this, these are mental steps. You know, a lot of these are mental steps. I just want to show you what that process looks like. So here now, my Fischer, I'm going to have two interesting carbons. So that's going to be right there and right there. So at the top, I already know CH2OH, and at the bottom, CH3. So now that I have that part of the backbone drawn, let's take a look at our interesting carbons. If I open this door, so if I swing this to the left, I want this part right here to be flat, and so I need to swing this like a door opening to the left here. In that case, this bromine being to the back will be on the right side, and the OH coming to the front, that's going to be on the left side. And so I'm going to have a bromine there and an HO, my hydroxyl there, and of course what's not written is our hydrogens. So there is the proper Fischer projection. And again, if you have a method for doing it, use your method. This is like the mental process that I kind of go through. I'm only going to draw the final thing at the end, but you guys kind of twist it around in your brain to help you put it down on paper what it looks like as a Fischer projection. And sometimes it's helpful to write some of those intermediate steps so that you're not screwing it up, right? All right, so that's number 2. Okay, so for the next 2, all we're going to do is take a Fischer projection and convert it into a perspective. And so here we have our backbone. Now I know right away that my backbone looks like this. I'm just going to go ahead and put my top and bottom right on it. Now I swung this to the left. So when I'm swinging this to the left, the hydrogen that is on the right side is going to be toward me now. And that amine group is going to swing to the back, right? So now this is going to look like there's my amine and there's my hydrogen. I could have done this the other way. I could have swung it to the other side. So HOOC, H3C. In this case, if I'm swinging it that way, then the hydrogen gets kicked to the back, and the amine will be in the front. And let's just make sure here that these are in fact equal. What I'm going to do is get my absolute configuration on our chiral carbon. So I have an N, so that's going to be 1, that's 4, this is 2, and this is 3. H is to the front, so here I'm going to go clockwise, but H is to the front, so I know that's going to be S. On our bottom one, we have 1, there's 4, there's 2, there's 3. In this case, H is already to the back. Here, it's kind of clockwise. What do you know? It's S. So you can build your backbone however you're comfortable building it. And then make sure, though, that you're swinging those bonds in the appropriate directions, right? We got the same thing twice. Those are both equally correct. We'll do one more. It's a little more complicated. Okay, so in this one we have 2 chiral carbons. First thing I'm going to do is just draw that backbone. So I have my 2 carbons of interest. 1, 2, 1, 2 right there. Now I can just say, okay, the top didn't change, CH2OH, bottom didn't change, CH3. And now if I swing it in this direction, I'm swinging it to the left. So I know that this is going to end up being in the front. So there's my bromine. And anything else that's on the same side, all of this is going to be in the front. So my chlorine will be in the front as well. And then, of course, my hydrogens are going to the back. There we go. And then if you want to rotate it or whatever, you can rotate it. Doesn't matter. That's a perspective drawing, and that's as complicated as it needs to be. I think it's a lot easier to go from Fischer to perspective than it is to go from perspective to Fischer, because sometimes when you're working with perspective, you have to flip some of those bonds so that your backbone looks like this rather than this, okay? All right, that's the end of this video. Thank you very much. See you.